State-owned Mehr News in Iran confirmed that there's explosion sounds in Qeshm and Bandar Abbas. There's also other explosions around, and there's also an unidentified flying object, which many people call the Orb, which appeared over Venezuela when they took out Maduro, which is flying over Tehran. And there's unverified reports that the Persian Gulf Arab countries have officially joined and are now actually bombing targets in Iranian territory. So the explosions are confirmed, and hopefully in the next few hours, we're going to get more news on that.
Wait, what is this orb thing, and where are we getting this information? Which countries are you referring to when you're saying countries are involved?
So there's an unverified report about the United Arab Emirates currently flying jets in Iran and bombing targets as we speak. There are confirmed reports of Iranian media right now claiming that there are explosions in the island of Qeshm, which is the Strait of Hormuz, and Bandar Abbas, which is the biggest port in Iran, also near the Strait of Hormuz. The orb is, as people call it, it's just basically an unidentified flying object, and it appeared when they were raiding to take Maduro out, and it released a sound which made all the guards bleed out of their heads and get concussed and stuff. And yeah, the Orb of Judgment, that's what people call it. It does reconnaissance, and then it has some jamming capabilities that we know of, and then it releases that kind of like sonic burst as well. That's all we know about it so far.
What is it though? Do we even know what aircraft, or we just know it just looks like an orb?
Yeah, it's just a big flying ball of light. It looks like a drone of some sorts. What? Yeah, that's why they call it the Orb of Judgment. It appeared right before we killed Khamenei, appeared right before we took out Maduro. So they call it the Orb of Judgment. It appears right when something is about to happen.
Sketch in the chat is saying it's an unconfirmed weapon that appears when Americans are doing operations. Okay, I would be interested in you guys, like Jeffrey and Sketch. Can you put twos in the chat? I want to see what you guys think about everything that Ali just said. That's very interesting. Okay, but we already have a 2 in the chat. And Ali, do you mind modding until Danny shows?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Okay.
And then also, yeah, I had the session last night. 15 people were like there consistently at all times, and then I was like, oh, this is how Armin feels. You're talking for 2 hours straight, pretty much, almost.
Okay. Let me know how it went after we finish the discussion, because I'm actually interested. Yeah, at the end, let's talk about how that went. But who's the next 2? We have 2 twos. Shauna and then Blake. Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry for the background noise. I know it's my fan. Number two quick things. I don't know if you saw in the chat, Ali. You're doing great. I do think you need a brighter shirt on, because your shirt and your background and your skin are all the same color. Yeah, the other thing too is what's interesting is I was watching my boy Glenn, and they were talking about there's the US is also doing some alien stuff is going on, where there's like basically press releases that people are like, we think this is coming from the government to the press to get them. There's all these conspiracies about it, but nobody really knows. But they're talking aliens again, which is interesting because the last time they were talking aliens was around the same time that they were doing the Venezuela stuff. And so people are wondering if maybe we're the aliens. Maybe we were the aliens all along.
Okay, just to be clear, so we're talking about the orb. And yeah, I always thought that these things that people see in the sky is these secret weapons that the United States has, and it's not actually alien. So now that we're seeing this orb being used in Venezuela, it's a confirmation that these are just man-made stuff.
Yeah, it's man-made stuff. There is stuff that's happened like in the past, not recently, but like in the 70s and 80s, there was some stuff that was like believed to be aliens because it was like weird movements, and it turns out there's just certain places in the world that have weird storms, and Americans were like alien. But yeah, so that has happened as well. So not everything's man-made. Some of it's God or whatever you want to believe, but yeah, I think we're the aliens.
Let's
and
not
I
get
have
in. Let's not get into that. We're talking about Iran right now. Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't. I didn't. I just meant the natural. But I have my outfit on because we're the aliens. Okay, we're good to go. The end.
Okay. Wait, I saw Ryan just came here and then he left with a new member. Okay. By the way, Blake had the 2 and a 1 in the chat, so he wanted to respond to this, and he had a new topic. And also, Sketch wanted to respond as well. Oh, here, Ryan is here. Ryan, welcome to our community. Glad to have you here. I think he's new here. I think he's new as in the premium community discussion. So if you wanted to speak, just make sure you put a 1 in the chat, or if you want to respond to what we're talking about, put a 2 in the chat. And yeah, welcome here. Glad to have you here. Okay, so who's the next on the response list?
All right, Blake.
First of all, don't listen to them about the shirt. It's great. It's fine. You look perfectly fine on the camera. Secondly, can you clarify, do we know for sure whether or not any of the other Arabic countries are joining in on the attacks, the UAE, Saudi, anything like that? Or is that just speculation at this point?
There's speculation that UAE would want to get involved. We don't know for sure. We know there was, what was it? What was the island on there was one island that apparently the UAE has already bombed at some point, because we had confirmation even before the ceasefire, like the day, right at the date of the ceasefire. Let me actually look at the islands here to remember which island it was. Ali, you remember the island that I'm talking about? I think
The one that I just mentioned, or a different one?
No, I think Larak. Was it the Larak Island? So before the ceasefire started, we had a confirmation that an island in southern Iran was being bombed, and both the Americans and the Israelis were like, that's not us. So the assumption is that the UAE actually did participate in some bombardment. This hasn't been confirmed, but there was this assumption that the UAE has already been involved in bombing Islamic Republic assets in southern Iran. But the UAE has not confirmed that. The Islamic Republic's understanding is that the UAE has already been involved in military operations against the Islamic Republic. That's what they're saying on their state media. But we haven't had any confirmation from the UAE at all. But if there's going to be any country other than United States or Israel to take military actions against the Islamic Republic, the highest chance right now is the UAE. Does that answer your question?
I think I was wondering, because Ali said that with the explosions today, there was some reason to think that maybe some other countries were involved. So I wasn't sure what the sources were for that.
Yeah, he said unconfirmed reports, and I think he was focusing mostly on the UAE. Ali, is that right? You were talking.
Yeah, unconfirmed that the UAE is currently bombing Bandar Abbas and Qeshm, and there are reports that Qeshm has explosions and Bandar Abbas has explosions. Those are confirmed. The explosions happened. We don't know exactly who it was.
The only confirmed latest update that we have from the UAE from 5 hours ago is that they have announced the establishment of a national committee to document Iranian acts of aggression, international crimes, and resulting damage, which some people would see that as a way to build the case and justification for why they're going to get involved in military operations against the Islamic Republic. And Ali, when you say unconfirmed reports by who, do you know?
Yeah, I can find it real quick.
Oh, no worries.
In the meantime, I think that's all for response. I don't know if Sketch wanted to respond. I asked him in the chat a couple times. Are you here?
Sketch, did one.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, did you put a 1 and a 2 or just a 2?
I put a 2. I haven't put a 1 in.
Okay, cool.
Should I go on?
Go for it.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So on the Orb of Judgment, this is a sighting that appears. It might just be reconnaissance. It might be a reconnaissance thing, but it is some kind of thing that appears before a U.S. operation. It might be a distraction. It might be a trick. It might be a flare. No one knows exactly what it is. I think that it appears before an operation. So it might be unrelated to the discombobulator, which is what they call the weapon that makes you bleed. Because I have seen some difference between the orb and the effect. There's a separation there. I don't think it's UFOs. I would think it's mainly a reconnaissance thing. That would be my guesstimate. To if it is something and it's not a trick of AI or a trick of the light or anything like that, I wouldn't go with UFO. I would go with reconnaissance, like some kind of how do I say, disposable reconnaissance thing that they bedazzles everything, recollects information, sends it, and then just disintegrates. That's how I would maybe put it. I have some dates on October 30. The orb was seen in Yemen in February, in 28 in Tehran, and in Tehran, in some place called Karaj, in the area of Karaj, and in Venezuela. So that's the kind of sightings I have for it. But I think it would be, if true, if this thing is a real thing, I would think it's reconnaissance, not a weapon. Reconnaissance is a weapon, but I wouldn't think it's something that attacks. It's more like a reconnaissance thing. And I don't think it's aliens. That's my take on that. And if UAE is with them, that would mean they would have coordination with the US, because it's not going to be UAE and Israel alone, because Israel, when it attacks, it's using our satellites, it's using our intel. So that would mean if UAE being with Israel, that would maybe tighten the circle of intel between all three of us.
Okay, let me just say something. First of all, it technically is UFO. UFOs are unidentified flying objects. UFO doesn't mean alien. And I hope nobody here, I hope there are not that many people here who actually believe in conspiracy theories, I don't know, alien visits or stuff like that. I even think making it religious is also the same level of lunacy, but I hope we take.
I believe in aliens.
Okay,
I
Samantha,
don't think it was aliens.
Guys, I haven't stopped talking. And Samantha, we're doing twos when it comes to responses in the chat. We still have that here, right? What was I saying? Yeah, I think like when we say UFOs, I hope it goes without saying that it's not aliens. Okay. And guys, when I say it's not aliens, I'm not saying I don't believe in intelligence life out there somewhere. Of course, statistically, it's very likely that we have intelligence life somewhere out there. It's mathematically proven that's likely, or not a ridiculous claim at least. But we're talking about alien visits. And I hope nobody here, when we mention UFO, thinks that's ridiculous. When we say UFO, we're just talking about a flying object that is not identified, which is 99.999% of a chance either something that was a trick of a camera or somebody thought they saw something, or if it's actually a flying object, is man-made machinery that hasn't been identified regarding what they actually are. Okay, so statistically, we're going with that. And so UFO doesn't mean alien. Yeah, go, Sketch. You wanted to add something?
I wanted to add that I agree. I don't think it's an alien visiting. I don't think it's an angel of God. I don't think it's any of that. I wanted to agree with you on that in case anybody had a doubt.
Yeah, okay. I hope that doesn't even need to be said here. But anyways, sometimes some people. All right.